Ladies and gentlemen, I've been away. Beginning March 12th, I departed Las Vegas, made my way to Rotterdam. I spent 1 week in Rotterdam. I met some very interesting and beautiful people there. It was an amazing time. I spent 3 nights in Frankfurt, and it was really cool. It was a great experience. I think it's really interesting when you go to foreign countries and you see how people interact with their dogs. The environment in Europe allows for more early socialization, desensitization to things. Bikes, people, cars, trains. It is such a busy environment that if you take your dog out early, it's very easy to find very well-adjusted dogs in many European countries as opposed to America. And I feel like even though there are leash laws in a lot of these countries, the laws are quite lax, and for better or for worse, you will often find people moving around with their dogs without leashes. And for the most part, the dogs are well behaved, they're following. Of course, when you do have a dog with behavioral problems, it then becomes sort of a tumultuous situation, a challenging situation of sorts, because then you have to deal with the possibility that an off-leash dog might interfere with your training session. But I had really good sessions altogether. I think it's one of those things where you don't really bother being upset about what's going on. You know, you just sort of try to manage it as much as possible. I can imagine that it is a frustrating thing for people who live in those places to have to deal with when they're working with their dogs. It's not as easy, it's a bit challenging to work with reactive dogs, aggressive dogs, because I feel like the environment does not allow for the kind of effective training that I would normally employ to work through or work around those situations. Lots of people don't make trouble if your dog's not on a leash. You know, it's not like America where someone's going to be yelling at you, leash, leash, leash. But, you know, that is one of those things where it's a good thing in certain situations, but then it's a bad thing if you're working on your dog and then you have to deal with the possibility that some person's dog is going to kind of, you know, walk up to your area and potentially ruin the training moment. Originally, I had 24 hours in London, so I decided I would meet up with one of my online friends, Ben from Balance Dog UK, who has been quite supportive of me since I decided to start posting videos on social media. And he's just one of those people who's been a constant source of encouragement. And, you know, it's very hard to find that on the internet these days. And I thought to myself, what's the point of having a friend if you can't solidify the friendship by meeting up and engaging in person? So we met up at the South Bank. We also met up with a couple other dog trainers, and it was just a really, really good time. And it just reminded me that there is still good in the internet. Like when you're interacting with people, you have to remember that those people are actually people, right? And vice versa. People have to realize that our interactions on the internet, you can choose to be positive, you can choose to be encouraging, you can actually make a friend. And you know, the difference is in just how you approach people. There are certain people who notice your potential and they want to help you grow, they want to be there through the process. And Ben is one of those people for me. He's just an amazing dog trainer and a great human being. We actually set up a meetup and invited a bunch of other dog trainers and dog lovers to one of these parks, Battersea Park. And unfortunately it was raining that day, so we really couldn't get as much done as we would have liked to. However, it was still cool to see that there's some die-hard people who are very supportive of us and who are also just very much fans of dog training and dog lovers, because they will come out rain or shine and go through that process. So it was really cool to just be around, you know, like-minded individuals, and we had really good sessions. The pack walk isn't as enjoyable when it's raining, but when you're around like-minded individuals who care about dogs, who care about the process, who love the idea of learning and meeting up and building this community together, I think it really makes it worth it. Pack walks are a great way for dogs to socialize, for humans who own dogs to socialize with each other and to do it the right way, right? Because the dogs feel like they're part of that community. Everyone's there with a common goal in mind. We're walking to a certain destination and we're going through the process together, and all of the dogs are going through that same process with the owners, so it's quite a beautiful experience. And I think that a lot more people should do more pack walks. Just move around with your dogs. Try doing it in a group, invite some friends, set up some situations where you can go hiking, biking. At the very least, you're making a friend. So, pack walks. Westerners love their dogs. There is no argument there. The dogs are part of the household. They're part of the family. They live and breathe and exist in the household, and they are treated like children. As hard a pill as this is to swallow, we have to be cognizant of the fact that not everyone likes dogs. If you go to certain parts of the world, dogs are simply just food, and that is normal. I don't want to say it's okay or it's not okay, because it's not my place to say. It's not your place to say. However, if you live in a place where the dogs are part of the family, then we have to treat them as such. You know, my experience is completely different because I grew up where dogs are more considered food. So even though I was raised to love animals, I don't possess the same desires to keep my dog on my bed and to baby my dog. So maybe that's why training comes easier to me, is because I can separate the emotional aspect of it. I find it hypocritical in ways to think that your way is the only way, your way is the right way. I don't think it's as simple as right or wrong. I think these are preferences. You'll find that many people who love dogs will also very much enjoy a nice steak lunch or dinner without any second thought. Why don't you attach that same feeling to the cows? No, you won't find them protesting cows because the steak meat tastes delicious. Now, if you go to a foreign country, I don't know, China, come to my country, my hometown, Calabar, where dogs are more considered food than they are pets, then how are you going to tell them that, hey, listen, this dog is an actual sentient being who can be trained, who can live with you? 5-month-old puppy never socialized before. We're walking outside, another dog comes around, and this dog immediately tries to attack that dog. What am I going to do? Allow them to attack each other? Allow them to tear each other apart? No, I cannot do that. Okay, I've got a leash on my dog. I issue a correction, a couple of corrections actually. And guess what happens? Immediately, this dog has to think twice about what it's doing, right? And now I have to go protect that dog from the other dog. Rex is being protective of his pack, so he is now on the offensive, trying to go after my dog. So I can also not allow that, so I have to be proactive. I have to be assertive and take the position of leadership so that Rosa doesn't feel the need to be defensive. So now what I'm doing is now standing in the middle of both dogs. Rex is on this side, and here I am with Rosa. And every time Rex tries to make an advance towards Rosa, I simply move in and I say no, issue some sort of a correction. I don't have a leash attached to Rex. However, I can control my dog very easily. I am maintaining calmness. If you are calm, if you stand and face the dog, it is very unlikely that the dog will do much except turn and run the other direction. When I walk up to another human being and I shake their hand, I can be cordial, but I don't need to be their friend. We don't need to go out for coffee. It is a simple issue of respect. I can respect the fact that you exist. I don't have to like you, you don't have to like me, but we have to respect each other. Reactivity, aggression, all I want for the dog to do is be able to exist calmly in the presence of other dogs. The irony of all of this is, from the point of the Western eye, people are going to ignore the fact that I prevented that dog from going after Rex, from going after the other dog, right? And all they're going to see is, oh, you issued a correction. That is animal abuse. They're always going to go back to animal abuse, animal abuse. Now, pay attention to the dogs. 24 hours after that interaction, they're making those choices on their own. I'm not holding onto a leash. The dog's owner is not holding onto a leash. The dogs are allowed to make their decision. If they wanted to go after each other, they could go after each other again. But you can see that they're showing restraint. You can see that they're actively thinking through that process. Is it worth it to go after this dog? No, they're making better decisions. Why is that? Because they understand the consequence. We don't need these dogs to be friends. We need them to be respectful of each other. We need them to make better decisions, because the alternative is that they're going to injure each other, and that is much worse than any correction I could possibly give them.
So is he pursuing anyone now? Is he pursuing anyone now?
When I was standing there, did they not come and attack me? When they came to attack me,
that's because all of you and your sisters have been running around.
But no, nobody was there. I was just standing on my own. They ran. A wise man told me, oh, if dogs are, if you act afraid, they will act afraid of you. So I stood there, I did not act afraid. They came, they scratched me and they went.
Listen, the dog didn't bite you.
Oh.
Do Do you know what would happen if a dog bits you? You see this mark? This is a dog biting me. And that was a real aggressive dog.
Yes.
You're telling me that this puppy bit you. Why? Why are you shaking like that?
Your tongue, you use it.
Don't.
To make
If I see anybody hitting this dog, I'm going to hit you.
When you go back, we are the one.
No, I'll have eyes everywhere. I'll be watching these cameras.
If the dog should hit us, will you hit? If the dog should hit me, will you hit the dog?
No.
They will hit you instead.
I think I'm done here.
Go. Bye.